Hey, welcome to Private Money Club, Money Club Mondays. It's December 5th, 2022. So I'd say we probably have another good week, maybe week and a half, 2 weeks of business this year. And then it seems like everything kind of gets to a grinding stop once you start getting a little closer to Christmas. And then right through the new year, it's kind of business seems to be floundering, but then January 1st gets here and it's off to the races. So to me, right now is one of the most important parts of the year, because what we're doing right now is going to guide us through the holiday season and then get us started January 1, with full speed ahead. And I don't know about you guys, but today's Monday, and anytime there's a new month and it kind of starts like the end of a week, I feel like once you have the weekend and then you get started on Monday, it's like, holy cow, it's already the 5th of the month. It's like I was planning on getting started, on December 1st, and now all of a sudden it's the 5th. And it's like, what happened? Where did the time go? And I feel like that happens with so many people on January 1st. It's like, all right, I'm going to do it in January. I'm going to do it in the new year. I got all these plans. And then all of a sudden it's halfway through January and then it's getting into February. And it's like, man, where did the time go? So if we can get ourselves set up right now for what we're doing, moving into the new year, I feel like that's going to help so much with what's going on. So think about right now, what I want everybody doing, is really focusing on where is your money. And we've had a lot of discussions about that in the past in Money Club Mondays. And if you're new to Money Club Mondays, definitely go to the YouTube channel, Money School TV, and you can go to the playlist. And just for being here today, we'll email you the email that has the link on there. But go to the old recordings and watch some of the recordings, because there's a lot of really good education and training on that Money School TV YouTube channel from the past Money Club Mondays, where we really get into a lot of that stuff. So I want you to think right now, where's your money? And so right here, I'll just give you a couple examples. So Michael put in the Q&A box, he said, money arrived at Horizon. Now I'm at the next step of Private Money Club. So Michael took money from an old either 401k or IRA, and he did a direct money transfer over to Horizon Trust. So Horizon Trust is a self-directed IRA custodian. So if you have any money in retirement accounts, that's money that we could be looking at moving to a self-directed custodian and then using that money for these kinds of deals. So private money lending, real estate investing, down payments, whatever the case might be. So we can get that money out of the stock market. You can get control of it and you can deploy it out in these types of lending situations, which to me is a great use of the Private Money Club as well as a self-directed IRA. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you have money in a self-directed IRA, and you have money that's in non-qualified funds, so a savings account, a checking account, maybe even like HELOC money, business money, whatever the case might be, and a savings or checking account just sitting there, well, we can a lot of times combine those monies into a lending deal, if you need to get up to the amount that you need. So, and I'll show you an example of some of that here in just a minute. Now, if you do that, remember, it needs to be separate. So you're going to have two separate contracts. So your non-qualified money would be lent by you or your business, and then the self-directed IRA money would be lent by the IRA. So they have to be titled completely separately. All the returns have to go back, respectively to where they were lent from. But you can do that on most of these deals. So, Michael, for example, over here in the Q&A saying he has $10,000 to lend out from his Horizon IRA. Well, maybe he's got another $50,000 in cash. And now instead of looking to lend out $10,000, he actually can lend out $60,000 to somebody, presumably through Private Money Club. So just kind of keep little things like that in mind, and maybe that'll start bringing some more deals together for you. And something else a lot of borrowers will allow is, let's just say Michael has $10,000. Eve on here has $50,000. Chuck on here has $60,000. Well, they can bind that $120,000 into one deal that needs $120,000. They can all be in first lien position. They'll just be on the mortgage proportionately for whatever amount that they lend it out. I believe that cannot be done in all states, so definitely consult with your attorney on that one. But that is something that I've seen done quite often through Private Money Club also, so people can kind of team up. Lenders can team up on a deal to take down one borrowing deal all at once. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to pull up Private Money Club, but let me go through some of this real fast. I love you guys' comments coming in. So let's just see who's on here right now. So if you're a borrower or you're a lender, I'm going to read out these comments. So start thinking to yourself, oh, okay, this person has, $60,000 and they're a lender, and hey, I'm a borrower and I need some money for a deal I have coming up. Well, let me remember that person's name so I can go on Private Money Club and reach out directly to them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some things to watch out for on Private Money Club. We live in a society where everybody, there's a lot of scams out there, and different spamming and different things, people that just aren't doing things 100% above water, or maybe looking for like little shortcuts that shouldn't happen and stuff like that. So we'll talk a little bit about that today as well, things to look out for. And then next Monday, December 12th, I guess it is, next Monday, I'm actually bringing on a specialist that's going to do a whole presentation to teach you how to avoid scams and what to look out for and things to protect yourself. So make sure you join me next Monday for that presentation. And it's going to be really, really cool. The guy's name's Bob McIntosh Sr., and he's really good at this. So he's going to come on and he's going to present with me, and we're going to talk all about that next Monday. All right. So Jess is a new commercial real estate investor in Colorado. Bill Kavanaugh, private lender, premier member of Private Money Club. His first deal through Private Money Club is going to closing on Wednesday with Steve Lawson. So Steve Lawson is a borrower in Private Money Club that you guys will see. So congratulations, Bill, on your first deal happening on Wednesday. Dan Baxter said, I'm new to Private Money Club, have a pocket listing in Colorado that I need help with financing. So Dan, if you're new in Private Money Club, the first thing you're going to want to do is go in, and we'll look at it in a minute. All right, and let's just do it now as we go. All right, so I'm just going to pull up Private Money Club. I'm going to share the screen as we talk through here and what you guys are doing over in the chat box. All right, so here's privatemoneyclub.com. If you haven't joined yet, just click join today. It'll pull up the different options. The free membership doesn't really give you much. You can kind of look around at some of the deals. You can't really contact anybody or anything. But if you just want to kind of like take a look at some of the deals in there, you can do that. The premier membership is where you can join. What I would recommend is if you are looking to join, reach out to me, because I have a couple discount codes left. I believe it expires Wednesday, but they're good for a couple more days. Or if you go down here to contact us, you can actually schedule a call with either Joel or Jose on my demo team, and they'll actually hop on a Zoom with you and walk you through the site and kind of show you a premier membership, how to set things up from the start. And then they have some discount codes too that they can use. So I would recommend booking a demo so you can do that, or shoot me a message and I can hook you up if you just want to join straight up. But these demo calls will be really important. And I'll put in the chat box, I'll put the demo link too, if anybody wants to do that. All right, so that's that right there. All right, so once you're a member though, or you can just call 1-833-JOIN-PMC also, by the way. All right, so once you're a member, you can log in. All right, so like I said, we're going to talk through some of these deals here in just a second. We'll look at some pros and cons, what to look for on them, etc. But what I would do is when you first get in, guys, what you're going to want to do first is set up your profile. So you're going to go click right here, click my profile, and it's going to have everything you got going on. So you can go in, it shows you what you register with. And then if you want to update any of this stuff, you just hit edit information. And now we can go in and we can edit our name, we can edit our email, we can edit our about section, which, this is not good right here. So if I really wanted to attract new people, I would start talking about all of my experience, real estate investor for over 15 years, having done over $1 million in transactions, actively focusing on long-term cash flow and private lending. Just talk a little bit about who you are, what your experience is. If you're brand new, working with a mentor, partner, whoever, with experience, or, have a team, contractors, my background is construction, whatever it is that you are or that you do, your company information, what you're doing here, what your status is. Are you looking to lend, borrow? What are you looking to accomplish? That kind of thing. And then if you do have any deals, you can click on my deals. This will track all your deals, the status that they're in. Remember, if I post a deal and somebody funds it for me and we get that process started, there's going to be a checklist of everything that's needed. So it's going to show me, hey, I need the mortgage, I need the promissory note, I need to run comps, I got to send the money to escrow. It's going to have all the different steps that typically are done in a private lending deal. So as you get started with that deal, you can click through everything. So this is where those deals will be located. So I can go and I can see, okay, we've gone through half of the steps. What's next? What do I got to do next to get that deal going? And then once it's funded or you lend to it, then you could track it on there. And then once it's completed, you can just go in and click complete listing, and that'll then get it off this page and it'll put it into the completed listing. And then you can leave each other reviews. So you can start building up your positive reviews. So other people see, hey, this guy's done 10 deals, 5-star review. I feel pretty comfortable doing business with them because he has experience on Private Money Club doing this. If you have any favorite deals, so when you're looking through deals, you can favorite them. You can save them. So you can locate all those right there. Different borrower tools right now. We don't have a lot right there because we're waiting on legal to approve some of this stuff, but we'll have a bunch of really cool borrower tools right there that you can use just to help you get the deals done. And then of course the network, anybody you've friended, your friends list will load up on here. So people that you're chatting with, people that you talk to, that on the site that you're, whatever, you'll be able to see everything right on there. And then if anybody sent you a message, you'll be able to see some of these different messages over here. So if I click that right there, or these are different status updates that people put. So different things that we can do right there, right from the profile. So the most important part though, as a new member, is get that profile built out, put a good picture of yourself and make sure that all looks very professional. So then when I do go look to connect with somebody, dentist by trade, but I am limited in my practice due to a neck issue. I love real estate and I've personally been involved in buying, selling, renting, remodeling in both the residential and commercial space for the past 20 years. Love it. So you're talking about your experience, what areas of real estate you do. You're a dentist by trade, but you're, focusing on real estate right now due to those issues. Continue to pursue my own projects. I find it extremely rewarding to be able to provide the financial resources to help others build their real wealth. And portfolios. So she's basically saying, hey, I do my own deals, but I also have money to lend out. And that's what I'm looking to. So you can see, looking to lend $50,000 to $100,000. So I know if I had a deal right now, hey, this is somebody that I might want to contact, might want to be in touch with. So I can click add contact, which will send them a friend request. So we can stay in means. And then if I wanted to send a public message where everyone can see it, or a private message just to learn more about them. Hey, Jess, I'm lending, or I have a deal coming up and so you are a lender. Can we connect? Can I send you some docs on the project? Something like that. Just get the conversation started, see if they're interested, and then you can start sending them over some of the information, things like that. So those are some things when you first join. And then if you have a deal, what you're going to want to do is you're really going to want to start working on, this is what I would do step 2 after setting up your profile. I would start playing with the perfect loan proposal. So you can find this under the learn section right here. So this is a little video on how to put the perfect loan proposal together. So watch this. And then it's in 2 parts. So you have the property lead sheet and then you have the loan proposal template. So if you have a deal available, the property lead sheet, I'll just open it up to show you real fast. So the property lead sheet is going to have all the details about the deal itself. So if you actually have a deal available, you can start, putting it on here. So then if anybody requests information about it, instead of sending them a bunch of documents, you can send them this one that has everything there. It's in a nice, easy to read format. The lenders are familiar with it because, they have more than likely also. All right. So this is the property spec sheet. So you can actually see, you can start putting in your information, what the deal is, the details of it. And then you can start really getting into details about it. I mean, you can see it gets very detailed. What are the comps, the comparable sales in the neighborhood, what's going on with the deal, square footage, all that good stuff. You get into the scope of work, different closing costs, holding costs. That way you're not forgetting anything. You didn't forget about utility costs or the cost of the money or lawn maintenance or, whatever. Everything kind of prompts you to put stuff in. Additionals, closing cost, scope of work, and then pictures. You definitely put pictures on PMC. But this is a place to highlight even more detailed pictures as well, right in the perfect loan proposal. So you get all this on here and then just a summary on the end. Okay, what am I looking for? How long's the term? What's the position? Well, what's the cost? What's the potential return? What's that look like? So you can kind of give them a little one pager at the end of this thing. That's the property spec sheet version of it. And then if you don't have a deal, you should still start working on this perfect loan proposal as a borrower, because there is a section for your personal information and your business information. And again, when you're, when you're a borrower or when you're a lender, there's really 50-50 importance here. So when I'm a lender, I'm going to look at the deal. That's 50% of what I'm going to decide on if I'm going to lend to that person or not. But I'm also going to look at the borrower themselves, the company. Who are they? What's their track record? What's their experience? What's their team look like? All of that stuff goes into it, because, you can have an unbelievable deal, but you can have an investor that has no idea what they're doing, and they can lose money on it, or they can do things that are just wrong, that don't make sense. And vice versa, you can have a really experienced investor, but they make one little mistake, and all of a sudden they thought it was a good deal. It's not a good deal. And all of a sudden, just because they have a ton of experience, they make mistakes too. So maybe they missed something on that deal. So both are just as important, the investor as well as the deal itself. So we want to be able to see both of those. And that's why that perfect loan proposal is going to cover both sides of that equation, just like a bank would do. If you go get a mortgage at a bank, they're going to pull your credit. They're going to look at your debt to income, your job, all that stuff goes into it. And then they're also going to look at what's the property worth, how much is the loan for, what's the debt to, what's the loan to value ratio, what's your debt to income, all that stuff goes into it. They require an inspection. If the inspection requires a bunch of work, they're not going to lend to you, or they're going to take it out of it. They require an appraisal, because if the house isn't worth it, then they're not going to lend to you. So exact same thing. When I'm a lender, I'm going to do just like the bank does. And the bank is going to ask for all of this stuff that's in this perfect loan proposal. And that's why all the stuff we recommend having in the perfect loan proposal. So the lender has everything that they would need to be able to see that. So you can see that, the perfect loan proposal. So right here. So this is the whole part of it. So the top is what I was talking about as far as who you are. So we have the credibility piece, past real estate deals, your personal financial statement, your LLC. Again, remember, as a lender, I'm only going to lend to LLCs or corporations, never an individual. So put your information there so we know who you are. Maybe tax returns, maybe a credit report, and then it gets into the deal spec sheet we showed you a second ago. But again, the whole entire top part of this perfect loan proposal is your personal and business information. Now, maybe you don't have a credit report. Okay, so skip that section. Maybe you don't want to provide 3 years of tax returns. Skip that section. If the lender really wants it, maybe you're going to have to get it. But just because you don't have it right now, don't stop from putting this together. Put everything else together on here, okay? And we give you prompts. We make it very, very easy to do this about the industry and company. So just talk a little bit about who you are, what you guys are doing, what's your objective. Are you buying short-term rentals with a strategy of selling in 5 years? Are you doing the BRRRR strategy where you're using money now and then you're going to refinance in a year? Are you doing long-term rentals? Are you doing RV parks? Are you doing mobile home parks? Like, what does your company do? What's your objective? What do you specialize in? What's your vision? Is this something that you're going to do for the next 5 years? Is this a long-term thing? Are you going to grow this to $100 million company? Like, what is that? What are you doing? What's that look like for you? It gives me an insight into who you are, what you do, what that looks like, all very important stuff. So what's your leadership look like? Do you have a team of people? Are you the CEO? Are there other people in the company? Is it just you? If it's just you, that's fine. Is it you and your wife? What's your company? How long has it been in business? What's that? Have you guys done 100 transactions or 2 or, whatever? So just different things you can insert, a picture of your team if you have it, but just things that are fun, operational principles, maybe you have those. If you don't, just hide this page. You guys know how to work. This is built on PowerPoint. So you can do PowerPoint, Keynote, just made it very, very easy. And again, if you don't want to do it, just skip it. If you don't want to do that, skip it. It doesn't matter. But we just gave you a bunch of ideas on how to put this together. Even Q&A, different options for how you do lending, how to get paid, educate the lender a little bit. There's a lot of new lenders on here. So the more you can educate them with your experience, the better. Personal financial statement. We even put one on here that you can use. So if you don't have a personal financial statement, basically just kind of plug and play on this one. And a perfect personal financial statement, just so you know, it's just assets, liabilities. What do you own? What are you worth? If this deal goes bad, can you still pay me back as the lender? Do you have money, or is that not going to happen? That's all going to allow me as the lender to kind of look at what is my risk for this deal. All right, and let me keep going down through here. So that was Baxter. So John is a QOZ fund manager with a 506C. Yeah, so John, we're not doing any syndications or private funds in Private Money Club right now. You can't list them, but as part of the community, as you build relationships, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. Yeah, Jess, you came in from Mr. Burr. Yeah, Mr. Burr is my Devin is a good friend of mine. And Devin's been doing an awesome job, not only on the banking side with the specially designed and engineered whole life policies, but also on the real estate investing side. And, Devin's been doing a lot of lending now as well and really grown his business over the last few years, doing an incredible job. Incredible story too. If you've never heard Devin's story, it's one to definitely listen to. Hey, Mary. All right. So Eric is a new investor, future lender in New Jersey. All right. Awesome. Eric, welcome, welcome. So look out for Eric Prescott if you're a borrower, as he's a future lender. Chuck Hypnorowski. Sorry, Hypnorowski, right, Chuck? He's been on Money Club Monday several times. He's a lender borrower and a member of Private Money Club. So Eve is currently a lender. She's dipped her toes in by lending on one deal so far. So Eve, do you have more money you're looking to lend right now? Are you looking for new borrowers, or are you in the middle of that deal and waiting for the funds to come back on that one? Elijah is interested in the future of banking and business. Haven't officially joined the club yet. Well, Elijah, if you want to join, I would recommend scheduling that demo call, and let's see if we can get you onboarded. Let's see, Dawn, she's here from the mastermind in Destin. He's going to be a lender. Awesome, Dawn. So you were with Chris Rude and Noggle over the weekend in Destin. So welcome, Dawn. Josh from North Carolina, new to this class, looking to learn. Welcome, Josh. Let's see, Julie is a new borrower looking to start real estate investing, here to learn, engage in the atmosphere. Awesome, Julie, welcome. Definitely, Julie, if you're not in Private Money Club yet, Julie Schneider, I would definitely get in, start setting up your profile, build those relationships. And as soon as you have a deal ready to go, you can post it and you're off to the races. Sonia Carrasco has been with us for a while. She's a lender in Private Money Club. Let's see, Jennifer Pertiel, new to Private Money Club and working on a few deals to bring the group for lending. Awesome. Thanks for the inclusion. Absolutely. Eve is lending from a self-directed Roth account with Horizon Trust. And everyone has infinite banking policies. Very good. Let's see. Irene said, hi, Joe. I am looking for a $70,000 second lien position on a deal in Colorado Springs. Will pay 3 points and 15% annually. Need funds for 9 months max. Could be sooner. So that's an interesting one. So Irene, what I would do is I would go on Private Money Club, make sure your profile's set up, and then I would click create listing. I'll show you guys how to do this right now on Private Money Club. All right, Irene. So once you're a member, just click right here, post deal, and then literally just follow the prompts. So the title you're going to want to make kind of interesting. So I would lead with 15% and 3 points. 9-month quick flip. So that way people know it's going to be a short-term deal and they're going to get great returns. Because if you average out, let's say, let me just do the math real fast. So if you do, so just to explain to this also, so 15% annually means if they paid it back in 9 months, they would not pay the full 15%, right? So 15 divided by 12, which 12 months in a year, is 1.25%. So basically, if you were to lend $100,000 for 12 months, you would get 1.25% each month, right? So 1.25 per month. And let's just say that deal lasts for 9 months. Well, you're going to get 11.25% interest on your money over those 9 months. But she's also offering 3 points on the deal. So then, and a point is 1 percentage point of the entire loan amount, no matter how long the deal is for. So if the money's returned in 2 months, you still get those full 3 points. If you get the money returned in 12 months, you get those full 3 points. So that's where it's different, where 12% annual, 12% if it's for 12 months, 6% if it's for 6 months, 9% it's for 9 months, right? Because it's at 12%, and at 15%, then, we do the math. And so it's not the full amount. So that's the difference in annual interest versus points, right? So if we did that with her, though, it's 11.25 over the 9 months plus the 3. So that's a 14.25% return on my money in 9 months, which is a pretty strong return. Now, I will say that she mentioned that was in a second lien position. So second lien position means if something goes wrong with the deal, whoever's in first lien position gets first rights to recoup their money through foreclosure, through auction, through sale, whatever. But the first lien gets their money, and then whatever's left over, if anything's left over, then would go to the second lien holder. So if there's nothing left in the deal profit and the first lien takes it all, then you can lose all your money in a second lien position. But if there's plenty of equity in the deal that will cover you in second lien position, then maybe it makes sense to do that. And they're willing to offer you that higher interest and return on your money, using those points and the 15% annual to maybe allow for some of that risk that's involved there. So that's just kind of what that looks like off of the chat box that Irene was just talking about. But if Irene was in the private money club, which maybe she is, but what you should do, Irene, is hop on and list the deal. So make the title exciting, put all the details you can about it right there. How much, what type of property it is. And then once you hit continue, it's going to prompt you for everything else, the details of it. You can add pictures and everything, the financials, and then you can also upload the documents. So this is where you would upload like the deal spec sheet, any comps you have, appraisals, anything that would support the deal, support what you're asking for, you would want to upload and put on there also. Then as soon as you hit post, then boom, now it's on the deal. Now it's on the site live. And now when people are logging in, looking for new deals, it pops up right in front of them right here. We can bring you on Money Club Mondays to talk about it, all highlighted on Money Club Mondays, and we'll get that thing financed for you. It's as easy as that. Okay, so that was, let me see, that was Irene, right? So $70,000. So just to give you let me just give you one more quick idea here what that looks like. So it's $70,000. It's 14.25. So if I was to lend Irene $70,000, I would make almost $10,000 in 9 months off that 70 grand. You can compare that to maybe like the stock market right now. And that's why people are wanting to get into private lending. So Claire said, Steve Lawson is awesome borrower. Absolutely. Steve Lawson is one of our members in Private Money Club. So you'll see his deals posted in here. Michael said, new premier member, have 10,000 to lend, doing onboarding this Wednesday. Absolutely. Dan. Yeah, Dan, as a free member, you're going to want to join Private Money Club if you're going to want to do any lending or borrowing. And you said, what would you say that you were doing? So you have a listing you're looking to get financing for. So yeah, just join. Either email me if you want to join, or if you wanted the demo team to walk you through and get the discount code, just go ahead and do that. Let's get the deal on there, and you'll have people reaching out to you. Jess, is this SEC compliant? So all the deals are done from individuals, or businesses to each other. And so, Private Money Club does not get involved with them. We're not the middleman at all. We're just providing the platform for the connection to be made. And yes, everything we do is compliant. It's run through attorneys. We have an entire legal team and compliancy team, and everything we do. And that's one of the reasons, Jess, why syndications and private funds are not allowed on Private Money Club, because those are not legal in this format. So as of right now. And there's also a handful of states right now that are also not allowed on Private Money Club yet because of legal issues, but we are working on making those compliant in those states. It's just some stuff that we have to do on the back end. A lot of it's just money, paying the state some fees and things like that. But and then those will all be good to go on the site as well. So Eric's a new member, or a free member, demoing on Friday. Okay, cool, awesome. Looking for loans, but also planning to become a lender within a couple of years via his solo 401k and whole life insurance policy. Yeah, Eric, that's awesome. We have a lot of people that do that. They'll have their own deals that they're borrowing money for, because it makes more sense to use private money as opposed to their own money. And then they're taking their money that, might be in like 401ks or IRAs. And it's not as easy to do flips a lot of times with qualified money, or just because of the way the money's coming in, a lot of times it might be easier to lend it. Lend it separately instead of doing it for your own deal. So a lot of people will borrow money, but then they'll also lend their own money out to other people on deals. So I love that, Eric. That's great that you're doing that. And I have a feeling on Friday, you'll definitely be becoming a premier member, and we'll get you going with that. Let's see. Hey, Morgan, good morning. I trust that everyone had a fantastic, blessed weekend. Absolutely. Can personal financial statements be posted on the account, or do they only get tied to a specific deal? So a perfect financial statement, I wouldn't just post publicly. I mean, it's kind of private, your financials. So I would just send that to somebody that I was looking to do business with once I actually had a conversation with them. So that's how I would handle that. Don is a lifetime member. Money is out working for me on my first deal from Cleveland, Ohio. Awesome, Donna. Welcome, welcome. Or good to see you, I should say. Will Smith on Private Money Club since launch. Yep. Currently lending, using returns to start a whole life policy. I love it. So Will's taking money, and then all the profit he's making lending out, he's taking and dumping into whole life policies. So then those whole life policies are going to grow for him. And then he can start taking money out of those to do more lending, to generate more money, to grow his banking system even more. So awesome strategy right there. Morgan is going to be lending from his IBC once set up. We'll be lending to start with 40,000. Yep. And Morgan's in Private Money Club. So look out for Morgan. All right, so that was the chats. Just wanted to catch up and make sure I didn't miss any of those. And then there's one question in here. If I don't have a business or LLC or corporation, are borrowers typically interested in personal tax returns versus business taxes? So as a lender, Will, I'm more interested in your personal financial statement. So I want to know that if something goes wrong with the deal, because the deal, you'll be borrowing money for the deal through a business. Legally, you have to do that. And so I'm going to be lending to the business, but you personally are the one that's, the owner of the business and managing the deal and owning the deal and doing the deal and everything like that. And you're the one who ultimately is going to be paying me back, even though it's through the company. You're ultimately responsible. So I'm going to want to know your personal financials. And so that way, if the deal goes bad, can you still pay me back? Now, not all deals are set up that way. Some deals are set up what are called non-recourse. So if that deal goes bad, the borrower personally is not responsible at all. You can only recoup your money through what happens with that property or that deal, which is fine. But those are two different ways of setting up a contract, whether it's, the deal only, which is considered like non-recourse, or whether the individual, there's a personal guarantee, or the individual is going to be responsible even if something goes wrong with that deal. So something to look at. Also something that could play into risk levels, and how much maybe I would want to charge a borrower for lending them my money. So just some little things to kind of look at right there. So just some new deals. It looks like there's been 2 that have been posted on here. There could have been more that already got funded. I don't know off the top of my head, but let's just look at these 2 deals that were just posted at the end of the last week, Friday, I believe. All right, so 12% return, 9-month flip. So pretty straightforward title. We know that it's going to be short term, less than a year, and we know that I'll get a 12% annual return on my money. So we can see some basic pictures. Looks like a nice little South Carolina single family ranch. Pretty typical house for that area. Your wood floors, your fireplace, all pretty typical stuff. So one thing, maybe you can ask them for some additional pictures. I'd like to see a few more pictures on here. Description: Woodbine is a 3,900 square foot brick home on 18 acres with a pond. Very cool. 2 shops and updated needing. We are looking for someone to fund the down payment and rehab funds so we can turn this into a wonderful country home for a family. I don't see the address. So we might not, so here's the address right here if we wanted to look it up. So if we wanted to see the financials, 120,000 is needed, 60,000 in repairs. The after rehab is 710. This is the title company or attorney you'll be working with to send the money to as the lender. Bobby is the one that has the deal, his phone number, his email. Okay, so the one thing on here that I would notice is, he says they're looking to fund the deal, down payment and rehab funds. So that tells me that they're financing the deal through traditional means or through hard money or something for the main portion of it, which means this is probably a second lien position. So you would just want to clarify with Bobby, is this second lien position? And if it is, just know that. If you're okay lending on second lien position, again, make sure there's equity in the deal where if something goes wrong. Make sure he maybe has a personal guarantee on there. where if something goes wrong, he's going to make you whole on the deal. What does that look like? But that's what I would talk to Bobby about. And those are the details that need to be on the contract, on that mortgage and promissory note, that tell you that stuff, right? So a little bit more about the property. You have the address, 4-bedroom, 4+ bathrooms, built in 1980. All right. So it gives you a little details about the deal itself. If you're interested, you could just click I'm interested, and that'll start a conversation. So you can pick one of these, or you can say, send personal financial statement. Is this second position? Is your exit strategy? How will interest be paid? That kind of thing. Whatever you might want to know to start with, just to find out, about the basics of it. Anything else on that? Let's see. Morgan said, on a deal like Bobby's, if I wanted to go into it with another lender, how would that work? So if you, you could either start making connections with other lenders and find out how much they have and see if they, are interested in working together on it, on funding a deal. You could but what I would do is I would reach out to Bobby and say, hey, Bobby, I have $60,000 of the 120. Do you have anyone else that, also has $60,000? And are you open to, and legally, can you have both of us on the deal? So if I bring 60 and somebody else brings 60, can we both be on the deal? As lenders in first or second position, equally on it. So I would talk to Bobby and find out if that's possible, if he's willing to do it. And then, if he's willing to help facilitate and find another lender also that can bring it together for you. So let's see here. So Caleb said, I'm wondering if Bobby should have posted CLTV. Is that a collateralized loan to value? Is that what you're saying? So yeah, so on this, Caleb, to your point, he definitely should have posted more information on this. What's the house worth? What's the first lien amount? What's the after rehab value? All of that stuff should have been provided. There should be more documents on here. So he should have his perfect loan proposal on here. I know he has one. More pictures, maybe an appraisal or comps or supporting documents. So yeah, this is not a great listing by Bobby. Yeah, Caleb, what's the first lien position exactly? So that's all stuff that he should have put on here that he didn't. So what I would do again is I would just go on here and I would fill that stuff in. I would ask him these questions, blah, 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 blah. And if I want to be friends with him, I can hit connect. All right, so that potentially could be a good deal. I don't know enough about it at all. I know Bobby though, and I like Bobby, so it would at least give me the motivation to say, okay, hey, let me ask him about this. So this one might not be allowed on Private Money Club. Let's see. So let's see there. So we're buying a package of 36 single family rentals from a motivated seller. In this market, we own over 65 doors currently that are 80% occupied. Strong local management team. 67% of all owned doors are debt free. By year end, when we finish existing RABs, we'll be over 95% occupied. So these guys, obviously have a decent size. It sounds like long-term rental business. So they have a lot of long-term rentals. I would find out, are these 36 rentals with 65 doors? So are most of those duplexes? Do they have a 20-unit apartment complex? I'd just be curious what all they own. We're looking for funds for the acquisition and to pursue minor rehab to the vacant units, seeking an interest-only note for at least 2 years, at which point they're going to refinance, can also offer points. So basically, they're very negotiable in this, and they're looking for a long-term relationship with good lending partners. So as long as this isn't a private fund, this could be something worth looking at. I'll have to look at this myself. They're looking for $640,000. So what's the interest they're offering, or what can you get? How many points? And it sounds like they don't know. So that would be a conversation to have. After rehab value, property is located in Illinois. And then we can download some of these documents and learn more about it. You see that over in the corner? Bobby accepted my friendship request. Yeah, there's a bunch of private information on here, so I'm not going to share the screen. Okay, I'm not going to share the screen, but if you are a member of Private Money Club, he actually has his personal financial statement right here with their debt schedule and everything for the business. And it looks like they have one also for them personally. And so they have some, pretty good information here about who they are and what they're doing, what their financials look like. So that's all good that they have all that on there. So I would just find out what kind of deal this is. Like, are they doing, is it 640 for all 36 single family rentals? Is it all on one mortgage, or are these individual mortgages? What does that look like? Are you financing all of it or one at a time, or, what exactly, how is that? But Jennifer said, hey, Stephen, I think you said yes, but will today's Zoom recording be available? Yeah, so Jennifer, we put the recordings on YouTube, on the Money School TV YouTube channel. Usually they go on around like Thursday of each week. So if I do this one today on Monday, it'll be on by about like Thursday. So just check back like each week around Thursday, Friday, and the recordings are on there each week. So a great property, great location, seller's motivated. So just talks a little bit about it. Again, he probably wants some more documents and some more details. This is one of Chris Root's business partners, and he does a lot of deals though. So, maybe reach out, connect with them, chat, and find out more. And I believe Taylor might be able to combine people on these too. So if you have, if you don't have quite 315, but you're interested in the deal, maybe Taylor can get you onto it, even though you don't have the total amount. All right. So a couple of things that are going to be changing in the next couple of weeks, just in case it happens before next Monday. The Learn section is going to be new, and group messaging. So we're going to have a group message board will be coming out soon. So instead of just doing individual messages, we'll have a full message board that's coming out soon. Next week, like I said, we're going to have somebody coming on talking about scams and how to avoid scams and best practices and things for that. So in the meantime, if you get anything that you think is not right, just send it over to us, support@privatemoneyclub.com, or you can text it to me directly. All deals should be done through Private Money Club. So if you're getting like weird texts or emails from people that are saying they're in Private Money Club, or even if they are in Private Money Club, but they're doing things outside of the platform, that's kind of a red flag. Maybe they just don't know any better, but, we should be trying to keep things within the community of Private Money Club until a point where you need to hop on the phone with somebody, or you need to communicate with them another way. But you can send attachments. You can do almost everything right through Private Money Club. And that way it keeps it all in one place. We can, keep track of it. And in case anything ever happens, we can pull all that stuff up in the future, all the data. So it's smart to get it in there. But again, next week, we'll kind of start digging into more of that and what that looks like. Let me see. Jennifer said, so far the private lenders I have worked with are okay with accepting all interest and full loan amount paid after the property is flipped and resold within 5 business days of closing. Just looking for your opinion. So Jennifer, I like getting monthly interest coming in. So I don't mind getting, the whole, the funding amount. So if I lend $100,000, I'm good with getting that back at the very end. If there's points on the deal, I'm good with getting that back at the end. If there's anything else like that, I kind of like getting my interest monthly though. So interest only. So like $100,000 at 12% is $1,000 a month. So I kind of like getting the $1,000 a month, and then at closing, just getting my $100,000 back at that time. But if your lenders are happy just getting all of it at the end, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you as the borrower, that's probably better because it lowers what you got to send them the money each month. It lowers your operating costs during the flip itself. So instead of paying money in interest, you can put the money towards the deal itself and just take care of the money at the end. So it makes things a little, maybe gives you a little access to a little bit more money to get the deal done because you're not paying the lender right away. But there's no right or wrong on that, Jennifer. It's more preference for the borrower and the lender, and make sure that it works for both of you. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing with this, is we're creating win-win situations. The borrower gets the money that they need to do the deal that they want to do, to make the money that they want to make. And the lender is able to lend the money on those deals so they can make the money that they want to make, and they can grow their wealth that way, essentially passively. So you have that active borrower, you have that passive lender, so to say. And, ultimately, if you develop that relationship and do things the right way, it creates that win-win situation where both of those people on both sides of that coin both get, what they want out of the deal. And at the end of the day, everyone can meet their goals. And that's what this is all about. So with that being said, I think we're going to wrap things for this December 5th, Money Club Mondays. I appreciate everybody being on today with me. Hopefully you guys got something out of today. If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to put a couple things in the chat box. So my email, you can do snaggy@privatemoneyclub.com. If you need anything at all, if you want to book a demo, and again, we do have a discount, so you can email me for that. If you want to join Private Money Club, email me or book a demo, and my demo team can hook you up with that as well. The discount code I have expires Wednesday. So just email me before Wednesday. Otherwise, schedule a call with the demo team and they can take care of you. Other than that, we got a full week of webinars this week. So tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I am going to do a money multiplier presentation, the full presentation, and incorporate Private Money Club and real estate investing towards the end of it. So join me tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern if you want to learn more about infinite banking and what we do with these specially designed whole life policies, how to become the bank. And incorporate that into your lending or borrowing real estate businesses. Wednesday, we have WTF happen Wednesday morning, wealth webinar Wednesday afternoon, ask me anything Wednesday late afternoon. And I think those are all the webinars for this week coming up. Well, thanks. It looks like we had some new people on this week. So just so you guys know, each week this is a little bit different. So sometimes we'll go in, we'll just look at some deals, do some Q&A like we did today. Some days we'll pull the whiteboard out. We'll do a bunch of education and training. Some days we'll go right through different, contracts and mortgages and promissory notes and kind of get into that side of things. Some weeks we'll bring actual deals on. So I'll bring borrowers on. We'll talk about deals that we have. And then other weeks we'll bring in other experts, like next week with Bob McIntosh, that's going to do a full training on avoiding scams and how to not lose money to scammers doing this business. So Jess, you'll get emails about tomorrow's webinars as well as Wednesday's webinars, or if you just want to email me, I can make sure that you get those as well, so you don't miss anything, but you should get those emails from us also. All right. Hope everybody has a great week. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next Monday, if not sooner. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.